Time for us to bring Paul and DujunneaB back in. Did you want to do a quick music break? How do you want to do this?
We're going to go ahead and rock and roll straight through it. No reason to stop. Just stop the party. We rocking and rolling right now. And we got a lot of NFL free agency to talk about. I got some breaking news coming through as we've been doing the show, folks that's potentially signing elsewhere. So I say we go ahead and rock and roll with some of this NFL. At least we got some sports news to talk about. I'm going to just quickly go over some of the notes that I've been taking on some of the key folks that's in the free agency market right now before we bring in DujunneaB, because I know he's done his due diligence also, and I know he probably checking out the transaction wire that's going on, because I just saw something coming through that Jimmy Graham should be signing with Chicago for, what was it, a 2-year, $18 million deal. You got Dak Prescott getting I'll go through all the franchise tag stuff later on. I got the numbers. I got all of that from what they're supposed to be projected to make. I got the top free agents. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring in dudes. I got so much information. I need some of his insight to break some of this knowledge down, because I know he's been delving deep into it. I've just jumped into it today, so I know he's been on top of it. DujunneaB, how you doing tonight, big bro?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Making do with the situation that we're in the best we can.
Yeah, you surviving this coronavirus. I stopped drinking Corona. I just drink Budweiser now, man.
Yeah, man. I don't really, unless it's brewery, local brewery type stuff, man. I don't really mess with that other stuff, man.
I feel it.
It's either that or it's liquor. Otherwise, I don't really mess with it.
I feel you. I'm doing a little bit of both tonight. But with all this craziness going on in the coronavirus, the NFL free agency period starts on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Got a lot of things happening today with the right around the corner, potential signings. Hopefully there's no tampering going on. But like I mentioned earlier, you got Jimmy Graham possibly going to Chicago. Let me see. I saw Byron Jones is going to the Dolphins. They're talking about making him the highest paid cornerback in the league. James Bradbury looking to go to the Giants for a $45 million contract with $32 million guaranteed. I mean, we're seeing a lot of big moves. We saw the salary cap go up about another $10 million to $190 million. We saw that come out earlier this week. What do you see from this potential free agent market? We know how things normally go. First couple of days is hot like fire. Then things die down and you get, signings here and there. You might get a team make a big splash here and there. But we're definitely going to go through some of the transactions that's pending that's going to go down once the league year starts at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. But what do you think about this new increase of the salary cap and how it's going to affect free agency? I've seen some of the numbers that these guys are signing for, so you can definitely see the boost. Not the NBA boost, but you've seen a boost in some of these contracts with some of these players. What do you think we're going to see in this free agent market starting on Wednesday?
I think guys are going to, who need or know who they want, will spend accordingly and try to get, especially people who feel like they're one or a few pieces away. Other than that, though, I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I don't, just because the cap goes up, we know it goes up every year. It really just is going to depend on, who people re-sign. I mean, you look at people like the Cowboys have like a plethora of people they have to re-sign. Just because the cap goes up, though, it may help you out a little bit to give you a little extra room, but folks who are cap strapped still are going to be cap strapped, and probably won't be doing too much shopping in free agency. We've seen some crazy moves, some crazy trades, but I think it's going to. I think again, you'll have teams that will be aggressive, and you'll have teams that will be smart about it. Get some of the players that they feel like that can help their team. That can be that extra pushover for them. Otherwise, they're going to hold serve and try to go about possibly either re-signing some of their own or leaving room for them to be able to sign draft picks and kinds of different strategies to free agency, and I think, again, you'll see a mixed bag of those as we see this thing kick off and go about.
No doubt, no doubt. We're seeing I'm seeing some major moves going on. Let's just go ahead and go over the franchise tag list right now. There are 16, I believe it's 16 teams that have designated franchise tags, which means they haven't been able to sign these players to long-term deals that was expected. Starting out, got Cincinnati with AJ Green. He's looking at 1 year under the franchise tag of $17.8 million. The Broncos, they franchise tag Justin Simmons, a safety, at $11.4 million. Tampa Bay, they franchised Shea Barrett, cornerback. He's looking to make $15.8 million. The LA Chargers franchise Hunter Henry, tight end. He's looking to make $10.6 million if they don't sign him to a long-term deal. Kansas City franchise Chris Jones, offensive tackle. That's $16.1. The Cowboys franchise Dak Prescott, which will be $26.8 million against the cap if he doesn't sign a long-term deal before the season starts. You got the Giants. They franchised Leonard Williams, defensive line. He's looking to make $16.1 million. Jacksonville franchise Yannick. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but he's a defensive end. He's going to make $17.7 million next year. New England, they actually franchised the offensive lineman, Joe Turney. He's looking to make $14.7. Baltimore, they franchised Matthew Judson, linebacker, at $15.8 million. Redskins franchise Brandon Sheriff. He's looking to make $14.7. Apparently, I heard rumors that he was looking to be the highest paid guard in the league. He wanted around $18 million a year. So pending a long-term deal, look like he's going to make $14.7. Hopefully they can re-sign him and work something out. If not, I'm not sure how I feel about that right now, but we'll talk about that when it happens. Pittsburgh, they franchise Bud Dupree, linebacker, for $15.8 million. And the Titans, after re-signing Ryan Tannehill to a 4-year, I can't remember the numbers. I know it's a 4-year deal. They franchised Derrick Henry, the running back who led that team to the impressive playoff run. Unfortunately, didn't get the job done all the way. He'll be making $10.2 million. And I also saw Kenyon Drake for the Cardinals would possibly be getting franchise tag, with the Cardinals making that blockbuster trade with Houston for David Johnson. And let me make sure I get this right, because it still doesn't make sense to me. David Johnson to Houston for DeAndre Hopkins and a 4th-round pick, and they gave up a 2nd-round pick in this year's draft and a 4th-round pick in next year's draft. I'm not sure I really understand that. DujunneaB, do you have some insight on this? Did Hopkins want to get out of town, or what's going on with this trade? Because to me, it seemed a little lopsided for one of the top wide receivers, if not top wide receivers in the league.
It's alleged that there were some issues there. I really don't care if there's issues or not. When you have a guy like that, obviously you have to name him via trade. So, you should be looking to get the best for a guy who has produced greatly. Let's just say, it's bad, and you know that you're not a good GM when you trade away one of your healthiest weapons, best weapon, that you have on the team for basically a pack of 25-cent Big Red gum and a handshake. Basically, David Johnson is who? Like, we don't even know what that guy's going to be yet. Like, we know what he was before he got injured.
Yeah.
He sure as heck hasn't been that guy since that. So, it's a god-awful trade. Arizona gets what they want. They definitely needed another guy to help Kyler Murray, so it's not all on his back. And, so he can, not have to do everything. And I think that's a good one, coupled with Larry Fitzgerald, who's on the tail end of his them. But, I mean, again, here we are, Houston. I don't, proves the point to me that guy doesn't deserve, Bill O'Brien does not deserve to be a general manager. And this is the problem. We have inexperienced people with no one above, no one in the front office that can check this guy. He has all the power, yet has no experience. And it shows. So, if they
Vinny Serrato
compete next year, it's going to be questioned. Yowie wowie. Vinny was probably shocked. I mean, Bruce was like, for real? Like, there's someone in the world worse than I am, huh? Yes, there is. Right.
No bull. Yeah, that one.
I had known that guy was out there like that. I'd have went to Sam's and bought a whole big box of Big Red and given it to him, because that's what they were giving away for a guy who's a perennial Pro Bowler and an absolute game changer at the wide receiver position.
No bull. Yeah, when I saw it, I didn't see the details, and I saw folks on social media reacting the way they were. So I said, let me look a little bit deeper in this deal. And I saw it. I was like, okay, I can't even be mad at them for saying what they were saying, because to me, it didn't make any sense. But like you said, there was some rumblings. He wasn't happy there. Like you said, it might be the situation with O'Brien being a head coach and a GM that hasn't worked out well in many situations that I've seen since I've been watching sports. So that definitely probably has something to play into it. Kyler Murray has another big target that's acrobatic and can go up and get the ball, that he can just throw it out there and he can go get it. So you got a Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald, you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got a young quarterback. Arizona looking to make some moves. That NFC West is a tough division now, so they had to do something. Some of the other acquisitions that are pending Wednesday, Tampa Bay re-signed JPP to a 2-year, $27 million deal. Paul Pierre, whatever. I can't remember what it is, but you know who it is. I've been drinking tonight. I don't even want to go into it.
Pierre Paul.
Yeah, Pierre Paul, whatever it is. The dude with 4 fingers. Yeah, Shaq Lawson re-signed for a 3-year. Oh, I didn't even write down the team. I forgot to write down the team. My bad. 3-year, $30 million deal. Baltimore traded Hayden Hurst to Atlanta for a 2nd and a 5th round pick in this draft. Hayden Hurst plus a 4th round pick in this year's draft after they lost out on Austin Hooper, who's looking to sign with the Browns for a 4-year, $24 million deal. Redskins were supposedly in the talks of trying to get Hooper, but Browns threw more money in, and the Browns are making some noise today. They also signed Case Keenum, ex-Redskins quarterback, to a 3-year, $18 million deal. They also signed a offensive lineman, Jack Conklin, I believe it's a right tackle, for a 3-year, $42 million deal. That's $30 million guaranteed. And also Austin Hooper in his 4-year, that 24 or 40? I think that's $44 million. He got a $23 million sign. Yeah, $44 million. I couldn't read my own hand right. And $23 million of that is guaranteed. So Browns are looking to make some moves there to also start not to be the off-season champs. Again, we've known the Redskins that had that title for years in the past, and it never amounted to anything. We're going to see what it does for the Browns, because they have a good core. They have the talent. The question is, do they have the coaches going to take them and develop them into that team that they think they can be? And that's a similar situation here in Washington. And we're going to see how that plays out.
With them, actually.
Go ahead and say that again.
It starts up front with them, actually. The tackle signing, Conklin was, something that was needed. It's a lot of it was a portion of the reason why Baker Mayfield just wasn't the Baker of previous years. Not a lot of great protection, although it wasn't all the offensive line, but that would be a huge help for them. Hooper, I would assume that they're going to keep Njoku, and I'll just say that they're going to. So that'll be a nice 1-2 punch there. Hooper, a guy who can block in the run game. They placed that 2nd round tenure on Hunt. Obviously, we know what their backfield looks like. So all it's going to take now is a consistent play on the defensive side of the ball, and obviously you need your quarterback to be able to distribute the ball. He's got all the pieces. Needs to be solidified, and then there's no excuses for Baker. So, I would assume they would sign a guy like Case Keenum, not only to have a solid backup, to be somebody that can push a little bit. It's always backups are not, a dime a dozen in this league, especially good ones. So we'll see, but they definitely have all the tools, all the pieces. Hopefully the coaching staff is right, and hopefully the front office is even better. So we'll see how it goes. But so far, I think you have to like their moves.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm going to bring in Paul real quick to get some of his insight on some of these moves that we've talked about, some of these pending free agent moves with the free agent period starting on Wednesday. Paul, you've heard some of these numbers and some of these guys that's on the move. What's your take on this free agency period with the increase in the salary cap and these players being on the move, trying to get some new scenery and hopefully win some championship gold?
Man, I heard some of the moves that they were breaking earlier. And it's just kind of strange, man. I mean, we always hear about the every season, either the overpayment or the strange move, or, we just started to actually see more trades in the NFL more frequently over the last few years, as well, in terms of sending players as well as picks. But I tell you what, man, I heard when that damn Hopkins trade went through, I was like, hold on, man, I'm hoping there's more to this trade that just hadn't been put out yet. Like, I couldn't believe when I heard it, man. Like, I don't know what's going on. That's not a trade that you hear from something that's just a normal scenario. I don't know what's going on down in Houston, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, can it be that bad for this to just give him up for that? But, I mean, if so, hey, I mean, that's the Texans. That's not my squad. I'm just more worried about my squad doing what, Carol, you have been vocal about over the last year, and I agree with you 100%. And getting rid of Trent, it's like they kept trying to hope, maybe he wants to come back now, and just kicking the can down the road. And with Bruce playing hardball, and with Rivera coming in, he wants to meet with me. It's like they, so many missed opportunities. I just hope now. I heard a rumor. Well, I don't want to say a rumor. I heard speculation because I like Njoku, right? I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. I wanted him out of college, but he gets hurt a lot. So I heard people saying, "Oh, maybe the Browns are trading Njoku and a pick for Trent." I'm like, don't think too much into that. I kind of look into the fact that I don't know if the Browns are gonna get rid of him because he's been hurt most of his career. I mean, yeah, he's had his rookie year, which was pretty solid, but they may not be looking to get rid of him, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, especially since he's on his rookie deal, it's not too much money invested in tight end like we had over the last few years. I don't know, man. I'm not as anxious as a lot of Redskins fans I heard are saying, "Oh, they haven't done nothing yet." I'm like, well, technically, it's just the what they call it, flirtation period, and we've seen before. Last year, especially, we've seen players say one thing during this period, and then when free agency opens up, they sign somewhere else. I'm not really too worried a lot. There's going to be a lot of players out there, man. And ultimately, the Redskins are still in a position where it's not win now. Of course, we need some players. Of course, you got to spend X percentage of the cap, so they got to make some moves. But at the same time, I'm not really worried. I kind of want to see him rebuild. I want to see him get this youth movement in order, add a couple younger, fairly young vets coming off their first contract here and there. I'm not expecting no big year, and I think Redskins fans should, for years, we always said we need to rebuild instead of always talking this reload crap, how they always strive to win now, even though they knew they should rebuild. Now we're in a situation where they can. So it's like, I'm in the patient boat. I know this team's not in a position to do nothing magical next year, like some people want, every year. Everybody thinks they're supposed to win Super Bowl every year, like they've been winning it perennially for every year of their existence. Outside of the 30s and the Super Bowl loss in the 70s and the 80s and the one in the 90s, they really hadn't had much success. I don't know where people get this stuff from, but I'm just sitting patient. Carol, I hate to be boring, but you know me, I'm the king of patience, man. I'm always like, wait and see, because being hasty and being worried or being anxious about what's going on, and I mean, look at the Nats last year, for an example. We said many times, be patient. They got a whole season. They got a trade deadline. They got players to develop. They got players they can call up. They can fix this. And I feel like the same with football. You got the new CBA. Here you got the 17 games or whatever. Teams are going to have to figure out new ways to work their rosters and compensate for the extra game or whatever. But I just feel like now, just wait and see. Let's pick our spots. Let's give Rivera and them hopefully a chance to see if they can build this thing the right way. They got a nice young core. Let's see if they can add to it this year with a decent draft. Hopefully they can get a good trade with Trent. And I'm not really worried about guys like Hopkins. I'm not saying, we could have got him. Well, we don't got David Johnson. So, I mean, what are you going to do with him anyway? Go 7 and what's the record now? 7-10 with him. So, I'm not really stressing too much about the moves today. I mean, it's some eye openers, but I think they're gonna be patient and kind of try to work a lot through the draft, especially now with this tight with Hooper being gone. I mean, there are players out there that can fit the needs, whether it be short term or even older veterans that may come a little cheaper for a couple of years to kind of bridge it over.
I'm definitely going to go over some of the players, the key players to watch. I was going through the free agents, and I was bored at work today, so I was going through some of the free agents in each position and just not know, top 5, but just some names that I saw that I've watched some tape on or whatever. But, DujunneaB, I was going to get your take on the CBA. I'm glad Paul mentioned that. So what do you take about this supposed new playoff? I saw you posted something on social media on IG with the new supposed playoff format. I don't know. I wasn't sure if you was opposed to it, if you liked it. I looked at it. I mean, to me, it does make sense because to have 2 teams on a bye week and, other teams playing to get in. The top team should get the bye. Second team, hey, that makes it more of a fight for that 1 and 2. If you got number 2 locked in, they already got the bye week locked in, why try to go for that push? But it makes it a little bit more competitive. What is your take on the new CBA with the 17-game possible schedule and the expansion of the NFL playoff format?
I don't have a problem with the 17 games. At the end of the day, it's about, the players. I know it's a mixed bag and a mixed review of, how people feel about this CBA. I know a lot of people didn't vote on this CBA, but there are, former players and current players that aren't happy with it. 17 games don't really bother me. But we're going to see about this these extra 2 teams in the playoffs. Might not have been a big issue last year, but in years previous, that means you have a bunch of teams with losing records. You'll have at least 2 teams with losing records, in the playoffs. And we all know what that is. I mean, seriously, unless you're getting hot at the right time and you just so happen to make and break the barrier to be able to get into the playoffs, and you're a Giants football team that had a less than stellar preseason or less than stellar season record, and you managed to get hot at the right time and make your way to the Super Bowl, that might happen. But most people with losing records are going to bounce out in the first round regardless. It will all weed itself out. It's great for playoff football weekend. I do like the fact that it's just 2 teams from each conference that will get your bye. I'm not mad at it at all. Is it necessary? Not really. If that's what they want to do because they're shortening the amount of preseason games you're playing, I'm okay with that. Because they want to keep at least keep the longevity of the season, whether you couple preseason and regular season together. It's not bad. If you're a player, I guess everybody is not always on the same page because people are at different stages of their life. Obviously, young people think differently than people who have been in the league a few years and have some age on them and some maturity, I would say. That doesn't make it hard, or it doesn't make it, it does make it hard to get everybody on the same page. So I don't think it was a bad deal. we'll see how it all plays out once everything, we won't happen this upcoming year, but I believe it's next year when most of this stuff will take place. So we'll see how it goes. It can't only but enhance the league and draw attention. I think the playoffs will be pretty competitive and fun to watch. But again, like I said, those bottom feeder teams are more than likely going to get bounced ASAP, just because we all know how it pans out. You know what I mean? Although the league has seemed to even out all the way across the board, there's very few teams that stink up the joint so bad that it's a given on any given Sunday that particular team is an easy win in the actual bye week. That doesn't happen too much in the league now. So we'll see. We'll see when it all, gets a chance to be played out and we get to see this in action. But I don't really have a negative reaction to it at all.
Sounds good. Let's go through some of the other signings that I saw that caught my attention today, some of the potential signings. Let's see, was it Christian Kirksey, linebacker, signed with Green Bay, 2 years, $16 million deal. Green Bay also signed offensive tackle Rick Wagner, which kind of signals that Brian Bulaga time in Green Bay is over. He's I believe, an unrestricted free agent this offseason, so he'll be looking to make a big contract. So with them making that move, they're pretty much saying that they're not going to, chase after him in the market. Not saying the Redskins should, but we do have a left tackle spot that needs to be filled. Hopefully Trent can get that trade done and get up out of here, and the team can move on. But I'm not going to harp on that because that's another episode. I'm not even going to go into that. Tampa Bay, I mentioned that already. Let me handle it. Atlanta, they released Devontae Freeman and Desmond Trufant due to salary cap implications. Let's see, the Colts signed.
Another corner the Redskins could look at.
Oh yeah, we also know Kendall Fuller and Brassard Breeden on the market. Also, I'm gonna get into the top free agents. I definitely have those on my top cornerback marketable guys that the team could definitely pick back up. Fuller, left on, got traded. Breland, I'm not too sure he would want to come back after the way he left. But Fuller, maybe he could come in and, add something to this defense, a little bit of championship swagger. But like I said, I get into the top free agency picks. We know we're running short on time. Only got another 20 minutes in the show. But there's so much football going on. At least we got something to talk about. Let me go ahead and segue into my top free agents, and I'll get your take on it, Dujunne.
Before you do that,
go ahead. What you got for me, brother?
Do that. I do want to give you some news here.
Uh-oh.
Just got this email from the league at about 7:07. So they will be the NFL and the NFL Players Association announced their off-season changes. The NFL and NFLPA will delay off-season programs indefinitely, issue additional procedures for free agent travel and medical examinations. There will be restricted access to club facilities. It's a lot here to unpack. It's a pretty long email. Basically, it talks about the off-season programs. Looks like off-season team activities will not commence on April 6th for teams with new head coaches, April 20th for all other teams. That the parties will periodically meet, reassess the public health situation, and determine an appropriate start date for any off-season team activities. It looks like the free agent travel is the same thing. It says during the upcoming free agent period, which begins on the afternoon of Wednesday, March 18th, NFL clubs may not bring any free agent player to a club facility or other location to meet with club personnel. Further, club personnel, including members of the club medical staff, may not travel to any location to meet with or conduct a medical examination of a free agent player. I'll leave that paragraph at that. In accessing club facilities, I'm trying to skim to this, find something. It says, as a further step to address issues related to the COVID-19, NFL clubs will close their facilities to players other than those undergoing medical supervision, rehabilitation, and treatment for the next this is a moving and continual, ever-changing situation that we are in. I'm sure we will be updated, and I will try to disseminate that through social media and through Carol, wherever, to get you guys that information. But that was sent to me at about 7:07 today, or tonight, by the league.
Sounds good. Appreciate that information. You know, like you say, it's an ever-changing situation. It's a fluid thing that's going on, and we haven't seen anything like it before. And glad that the league is getting ahead of it and trying to plan accordingly in this situation that no one, I'm not going to say no one saw coming, but, you know, this unforeseeable incident that's affecting the whole world, not just sports world, but the whole world in general. And just to quickly go over some of the, top free agents, quarterbacks, you got some wild names. You got Brady, you got Breeze, you got Rodgers, you got Bridgewater, running back. You got Melvin Gordon. I just mentioned Devonta Freeman. You got Jordan Howard, wide receiver. You got Amari Cooper, Emmanuel Sanders, Randall Cobb. This is a guy in Kansas City, DeMarcus Robinson. I think wherever he goes, when he gets a chance to shine, he's going to be a dynamic player. Not as dynamic as Tyreek Hill, but I feel like he can definitely make some noise if he gets a chance to get some go. Because I've been watching him when he's got a chance to get the ball, he's made some things happen. Not saying the Redskins should pick him up, but I'm just saying wherever he goes, I think that, you know, if I'm playing fantasy football, he's going to be somebody I'm going to have as my flex position because I feel like he can make some noise. Tight ends, Austin Hooper was on the market now that he's signed by the Browns. You got Eric Ebron. I had Jimmy Graham, like he's going to Chicago. And you got Tyler Eifert from Cincinnati. I wouldn't mind seeing Tyler in a Redskins uniform at tight end playing for the Redskins because he has good hands. He can block. Not the best blocker, but he's a decent blocker. And he's a threat in the passing game. I know when the Redskins played him a couple of times, I believe he had a 100-yard game on the Redskins and running that damn seam route that we couldn't stop for no reason. And offensive line, I just mentioned Conklin. He is off the market. Brian Blogger, who I just mentioned, Connor, I can't even read my own handwriting. Connor, I'm not even going to try. And Trent Williams, hopefully, will be getting traded up out of here soon as somebody can pick his butt up. The offensive guys that I named, DujunneaB, is anybody that stands out to you, anybody that you're watching on the market that think might make an impact going somewhere in this free agent market?
I'm actually looking at, I know Amari Cooper is the guy that I would look at wide receiver. To couple him with I'll premise that with this. I don't feel like the Redskins wide receiver core is in a dire strait. If you can get Amari Cooper, then that's great. But I do think that they have enough weapons to get things done. I think there are too many guys, Calvin Harmons. You have out there that are just overlooked in my opinion. But if you added Amari Cooper in that definitely takes you to a whole nother level, makes it a quick turnaround, gives you somebody that people have to game plan for because of his ability to take the top off the defense, but he works the middle very well. I was looking, and I know it's been said before, we know about the injury history here in Washington, but I was looking at a guy like Delaney Walker. And the reason why I say that, I know injuries, get it, but the guy's been pretty solid over his career. You're not looking for him to be here for a long term. We know where he is in his career, but he's somebody that could have an impact right now. You can also draft a tight end. And I'm really not ready to give up on a guy like Sprinkle. I don't think he's don't get me wrong. I don't believe right now that he's somebody that's going to start for you later. But Delaney Walker would be a stopgap kind of guy. I don't hate him at all, especially since they were unable to get Hooper. I do like your Eric Ebron, but Ebron is the same thing. Injuries as well that you have to be concerned about. We know the history here with Washington and that. Tyler Eifert, I do like that as well. Somebody who can block, but also has the ability to run that that route that the Redskins like, running that tight end up the middle, and being able to create mismatches with linebackers, etc. So I do like those types of guys. Outside of that, cornerback for me is somewhere that I would like to see them go. I think we've talked about it here before. I like Breland. I like Fuller as well. I think those guys are guys that can really help this unit. They ball. Bradbury is another guy. Doesn't get a lot of credit for what he does. And to me, I think he's better than Jones, who's going to Miami. He's better than Jones in the sense that when he can actually get his hands on the ball and catch it. Jones, the great player, defends the ball very well, just doesn't get his hands on a lot of interceptions because he plays DB for a reason. His hands are like stone. He doesn't catch very many interceptions. So I like those as well. I forget there's a safety out here that I thought would be a great pair.
Hold fast. I haven't went to the defensive guys yet. Hold fast, bro. I'm about to go to the defensive guys now. We got the defensive line. Some of the key folks is out there: Jordan Phillips, Ndamukong Suh, DJ Reader, and Javon Hargrove. You got some pass rushers, linebackers, defensive end / Jadeveon Clowney, the Dante Fowler. Pierre Paul just got locked up back again by Tampa Bay. Everson Griffin from out of Minnesota. Linebackers, I forgot to mention the Redskins did re-sign John Bostic. I forgot the numbers of the day. I think it was I forgot. I don't even want to speculate, but they did re-sign him. We spoke about that last week.
I'm not sure what the numbers were.
Yeah,
they weren't very high though.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I think it was something. I think it was like a 3-year deal for like $8 million, something like that. Yeah, it wasn't nothing too bad, but like we mentioned, the Redskins got $63 million under the cap, so they have plenty of room. And I did want to see him come back because he played some outstanding ball for the team last year. Linebacker, some other key free agents: Corey Littleton, Cal Van Noy, Joe Schubert, and Blake Martinez. At cornerback, as DujunneaB was mentioning, Byron Jones, like he's going to Miami. Chris Harris. James Bradbury, like he's going to the Giants for a $45 million contract. Kendall Fuller, Bashard Breeland, Xavier Rhodes, I've always liked him out in Minnesota. And safety, you have Clinton Dix, who I don't think the Redskins are going to touch again. Von Bell, Trey Boston, and Rashad Jones. Those are just some of the guys that I've seen. I watched some tape on. And I saw with some key free agents. Anybody else that stood out to you to be looking on out for? Did I name that safety you were talking about, or was someone else you was talking about?
I believe it is Jones. I'm not 100% sure. And the guy's in I can see him. I just don't have the name, and it's not popping up here. The big thing with safety, you just want somebody that's not like Landon Collins. You want to have a good pair. You want a true free. I'm not opposed to Trey Boston either. Obviously, you want to know what you're going to get as far as money, but I think overall, though, I think defensively, we know it's secondary that they need the help at, I just think you have to be cautious in the sense that you want guys that are experienced and that can play. You don't want to get guys that are too old. Fortunate enough, it looks like most of the corners outside of Josh Norman is the oldest that is on free agency market. Everyone that is good is usually is 30 or under, so that's always a good thing. Redskins are pretty solid on defense outside of secondary, and you just need to plug in guys for depth. I don't have the thought that this is going to be a major rebuild for the Redskins, and I know that Paul wants to see that, and I think they have done a good job of doing that. I really don't think there's that many old guys and that many has-beens or people that are retreads on this football team. There's a lot of draft picks on this football team. Now it's just rounding it out with depth that can not just about filling holes, but guys that can ball, and that are football players. And I know that sounds so much like 2 GMs ago, but it's fact though. You got your guys that are balling out. Now you need the guys that are solid football players and pay attention to detail and can complement some of these big ballers that you have defensively. Obviously they have the room to spend the money, and honestly, it's not about paying a guy a lot of money. It's just about it's quality over quantity, I guess I'm trying to say. And quantity in the sense that I don't care. I don't need the most uber talented guy and pay him big time bucks. But if I can pay a guy that's reasonable and he's talented, but also pays attention to detail, that's what's important. And that's what Ron Rivera is going to do. I think it's pretty clear. We've seen his football teams and what he's done there in Carolina. It's more of a collective deal. And if everybody buys in, we know what Jack Del Rio brings to the table defensively. So everybody buys in, I think they're going to be in good shape. And I don't think it's silly to think that they could have a quick turnaround and at least be competitive. Who knows what the record will be, but I know they'd be more competitive than they were last year. And when we saw that with just a simple head coach change to someone who was trying to at least establish some kind of identity, whether you liked it or not. We always didn't agree with Callahan and his abilities and what he chose to do offensively, but you did see a change there. So I think that all those things are going to couple in helping the team to get further along. And whether it looks like it or not, they're in a better place today than they were when the regime changed and they thought that the Shanahans were going to be the saviors and get this thing turned around. They're in a better situation than they were then now. So I think that's a plus for fans to be able to look at. But lots of decent players out there. It'll be very interesting to see what they do here when things break loose here on Wednesday.
No doubt. Paul, I'm going to get your take before we get ready to get up out of here. Robbie says he got a special guest calling around the 9 o'clock hour to go on the OT. So, Paul, I'm going to get your take on this football free agency period is about to start. You heard some of the key names that I mentioned in the free agency market. Where would you like to see this team go in the future and getting a couple of key free agents along with some draft picks to add to the talent on this team?
It's crazy because when you name it Dominican Sue, I'm like, damn, he a free agent again? Like, it seems like that dude a free agent every other year. But I'm not in disagreement, man. I mean, I know I want them to rebuild, but by rebuild, I don't mean, just scrap everything and just try to and just fill their roster out with a bunch of, cheap bums because they got to spend that certain percentage. But I just mean, like, be smart about where they place their big bucks. I know we need. We definitely have a need on the line, especially now. Eric Flowers, we got him paid down in Miami. I saw he's got a pretty good deal, so they're going to need some help. Especially, Trent Wayland's gone, but the thing is, I tell people all the time that there's some urgent need now that Trent's gone. Like, well, Trent was gone last year. Obviously we do need to shore up the line. Obviously, so I feel like if there's some decent money to be spent, I'm always, me and Hurt always talk about this, I'm always for spending money up front, especially on defense too, if they're going back to this 4-3 like we heard, because, I remember the year when I think it was Philly, when it seemed like them dudes was like the Spurs of defensive line. They can rotate 7-8 guys in and out of that line consistently, and I'm always down for that. Even if it's a vet, look, I know I was just making fun of Dominican Sue, but at the same time, sure, he's not cheap, but, maybe a year or two here and there, and of course we need D-backs. I always identify we need D-backs, but at the same time, I like to bring up when Philly had their entire secondary make the Pro Bowl, when they had Quentin Jammer and all those guys, and then as soon as Hugh Douglas and Jeremiah Trotter and all those dudes up front left, they stunk up the joint. I feel like with the new regime, like you guys said, even last year we saw a change. I'm sure the defense struggled, but I've been a big Ron Rivera guy for a long time.
90
I live in
seconds.
Charlotte, so I like Ron Rivera, and I wanted them to hire him, and they did. we're going to see improvement in the defense off the break. I'm pretty confident saying that. And who's to say if we draft Chase Young or not? I'm not even including him in this picture. But I do feel as though with the inclusion of Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera, and free agency, and he can bring his guys in, and the draft, I think you can kind of get away with not breaking the bank on the secondary, because I just
60 seconds.
Too many guys out there this year. I mean, yeah, we have a couple young safeties. I forget. I'm just like you. I forgot the name of the guy, and I know who y'all talking about. It's killing me because I can't remember his name too. He would be a good pickup, and I don't think he would come too expensive. You got a couple of young safeties who are on the verge of maybe being stars or maybe just being solid, and I'm down for that. I mean, we don't need a star. We need somebody who can play within what they're asked to play. How they're asked to play and perform, and that's what they need. That's why, even with a guy like Kendall Fuller, I know we let him go. I don't know if there's any bad blood between him and him. I wouldn't mind seeing them bring him back. I mean, maybe he will, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't come too expensive. I mean, he was, he did his thing,
10
out
seconds.
there, but outside of the Super Bowl and stuff, I mean, I think he still can come on a fairly decent price. I think they overpaid for Josh Norman when they got him, and I was pissed about it because I didn't like him when he was here too much. And in Charlotte, but I don't think they're going to do that again with any D-back. So, I mean, I think that hopefully they'll make some nice, smart moves. I can't say anyone in particular besides those I've named. I don't see them breaking the bank on anyone. The guy I saw them potentially breaking the bank on is gone. And that's Hooper.
Yep.
But other than that, I just don't see him really breaking the bank on any one guy. And I kind of see it like being free agency years of under Shanahan, when they would kind of get a whole lot of solid guys at decent prices. Hopefully they can get it. They can be a little smarter this time with the guys they bring in. I wasn't a fan of the Paul Richardson move a couple years ago either. I don't want to see guys like that. Like I said, he was going to be the next Brandon Lloyd, and there we go. So, I'm confident, man. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic, which I haven't been for a long time with this squad. So I think they'll be just fine. And I think they're going to improve from last year, and I don't think it's going to be a long rebuild. I just meant rebuild, like, don't just go on a spending spree, old school 04, 03 style, and they're like, oh, we only need a few more players, let's just break the bank on all of them. I don't see that happening one bit.
No.
No doubt, I don't either.
Jump in here.
Go ahead, Robbie.
We just hit the 9 o'clock hour, so we're actually in overtime, so people were streaming us live. They'll have to hear this part on the playback, but we are still live streaming both on Carol and on my Facebook Live. We got one more special guest here I just want to bring in for those who made it all the way to overtime here. He was the very first producer of our show, and I wanted to bring him back to bring it full circle, both the beginning 4 years ago, our 4-year anniversary spectacular. I know he's busy. He cleared his schedule very last minute for me. Hurt, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, in pro wrestling, they call this a dark match. We're over there, but you still got wrestlers coming through. Hey, what's going on? OGC, 5 years, baby. What's going on?
Oh, man, Big Hurt, what's going on, bro? Glad to have you on, man. I know you be busy. I know you got a lot going on. I'm glad you was able to call in, bro. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing all right, and honestly, I applaud Robbie for hitting me up and reminding me and pressing me, because I was reminded on my show Wednesday the anniversary was coming up. And I was like, I need to make time on Monday so I can call you guys and say what's up and say how proud I am and say how happy I am to have y'all and say thank you for being pretty much the most consistent show on the network, especially in the last 6 or 7 months with, the issues I've been having and the Pat and Jason. OGT never stepped back. They stepped up. They kept it going. They kept it moving. They kept it fresh. They kept it innovative. And I want to call and thank you. And then, all these things started happening that I'm probably going to talk about on Thursday. And then, all of a sudden it's like, you didn't make the time, and you guys have an anniversary show, and you're missing it. So thank you, Robbie. I'm sorry I almost missed it. And, you guys...
We did a little magic there to get you in under the wire. So I appreciate making the time. And, without helping to produce those first shows, letting Carol and I get that on air, it was such an important part of our show. And I love coming on your show. time, but I love that and highly recommend check that out. I'm sure you'll have a big show this Thursday to talk about, but I just wanted to get you in and thank you for giving us this opportunity 4 years ago. That without that without you, Jason, and all those people taking a shot at us, we wouldn't be here almost 100 episodes later. I wanted to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, I have to thank y'all because, you guys were like these Sports on the Hill guys. Robbie and Carol were running with the ball before it was out of our hands. Like, they proved they were ready to be unleashed on their own and by themselves. And I got sick. I'm in the hospital. And Jason says, who's going to produce their show? And I said, they are ready. They've been ready. And he said to me, if they fall flat, it's on you. I said, I'm willing to take that bet. And it was a good bet. And I doubled up, tripled up. And 4 years later, here we are, still making chips off that bet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I remember those days, man. Like I said, man, without you, though, I remember that. I remember like it was yesterday how it all went down, and the fact that I was able to get linked up with a network like this with you and Black GOP. Both of y'all have made such a huge impact on my life. Gave me a whole different perspective on things, and it's just it's crazy. 4 years later, almost 200 episodes. All the stuff we've done, all the stuff we've been through. Championships, the Capitals, the Nationals, the Mystics, the Valor. It's just been you can't even like I said, you can't even put it into words. It's just amazing to be a part of this. And like I said, without me and you having that one conversation offline, and it led to this. And the True Radio fam has been strong. Sports on the Hill podcast wouldn't be a thing without True Radio Network. So we're definitely going to keep pushing forward. We're definitely going to make this thing do what it do. And we're going to keep on bringing you some of the best sports coverage around. Make sure you tune in Thursday night for Hertz House. He definitely going to have some entertaining content for you. He's a little bit more loose than we are. So make sure you tune in because he definitely going to get you laughing and keep you informed.
So, and the funny part is, you guys announcing that it's your 4-year anniversary reminded me that 2 weeks ago was my 5-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
I got to have a big shindig on Thursday, although I'm thinking of it. I'm not going to do it Wednesday. I'm going to do it Thursday this week. And we're definitely going to, it's definitely going to be wide open. So, whatever you're drinking, bring that Thursday because we're taking shots and we're having the show. And I haven't had even a drink in over a month, so it's going to be filthy. Clear.
Oh boy.
That'll be a fun time for sure. But I usually we give time for signing offs for everybody, but Carol, I think that this is such a great note to end it on. I mean, I look forward to hearing updates from you and DujunneaB and Paul. Whether it be boxing or football offline. Just check us out, facebook.com/SportsOTHP. Check out our website, SportsOTHP.com. I keep all the podcasts up there. I'll definitely link to any related content as stuff comes up. We'll break all the news for everybody. But the season 5 will be on a little bit of a hiatus, but we'll definitely maybe do smaller shows about NFL, even maybe on Monday nights as well. So stay tuned to our page. We'll let people know what's happening. But Carol, why don't you give a final send-off before we go tonight?
All right. As always, we'd like to thank all the listeners, contributors, folks that tune in, folks that share our stuff. We almost at 1,800 likes. We just hit 1,500 in like August. So we done gained almost 300 new folks on our social media family in less than a year. So continue to share it. Let folks know that you got real DC sports coverage out here, even though there's no sports going on right now. But we still brought you an action-packed 2-hour-plus show talking about everything sports-related with the coronavirus, with whatever. But we had a great show. Appreciate everybody being part of this. Make sure you go check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. Make sure you go check out TruRadioNetwork.com. We got so much stuff going. And to end the show, after one of our affiliates had a great show this past weekend, I'm going to end the show with Renegade Money Convo. Be on the lookout. You can download it on all the social media, on all the music streaming platforms. And make sure you go check it out. CP3, live from the lab. I'm out. DC Sports without the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. We'll see you in season 5. And we out.
Money, 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 money is what I'm talking about.